doing my best to make you part of us.
All right, everybody, welcome to Versus the Rest. This is Phil. Today we're going to talk about a subject of grassroots movements about in politics, social, even religious movements that I feel that all of them are manipulated to not disturb the status quo. Every time a movement begins or starts to be bigger, they send in agents. They supply them with a hero. They give them a leader. They try to make us believe that that movement and that leader are somehow popular and are either seen as good or seen as bad, depending on which is the best way to protect the status quo. Once they are manipulated, they astroturf the rest, and they finance either from politicians, from agencies, or from companies, corporations. There are many movements like that. There was the feminist movement, which started quite well, I'd say. The first wave feminist movement was a must. I think that it was a good thing. I don't think it was a good idea to view women as anything underneath men, but more as far as an equal and even better, a complementary. We are not the same, and we should cherish those differences. The ecology movement, which was entirely swayed, it used to be against pollution, which was a good idea. I think we can all agree that pollution is bad. Companies should make products that last, that don't pollute that much when they're being created or when they're being destroyed. We should stop financing corporations and subsidizing everything that pollutes, instead of creating carbon taxes to the end user. That none of us decide on this. We don't agree with things that pollute. Of course, we still need to make energy, but in everything, like carbon taxes are just a farce. It's not going to curb anything. And it used to be global warming. Now it's climate change. I'm all for bringing back the word pollution and ecology. That's much more important. I like the Earth or globe or plane. If to set the temperature, to say that we have an impact is it's a guesstimate. CO2 is scientifically not proven to be that much of a heat maker keeper. I think you call it a greenhouse gas. Yeah, I mean it is part of what can keep the heat, but it's like a logarithmic curve that keeps getting less steep as it goes on. There's a word for it, but it's like you need like 200 parts per million in CO2 to have a degree. Then you need like 400 more. Then you need 800 more. Then like we're never gonna get like over 2 degrees with carbon, even if we didn't stop doing anything, and would probably just create like even more vegetation, in turn more oxygen, and creating like bigger people and bigger creatures, bigger plants, so less space on Earth. Well, let's say there is space and there's no more Earth, but that's another subject. Other movements like that, we got the Black Lives Matter, obviously. They were never demonized for everything they burned down, while other movements, they do much less and they're demonized entirely. I guess one of them could be the Proud Boys, which I don't subscribe to their ideologies, but I'm pretty sure they are controlled from the interior. I'd say that at least 40% of their people, and probably more than that of the money that keeps the Proud Boys from going, is all astroturfed. It's fake, and it's from government agencies. But as long as they don't fight the status quo and keep in line, that's what counts. Weather Underground was one back then, which was used. The Peace and Love movement. I'm sure like every little region somehow has these types of movement, and they're everywhere. And here in Quebec, it's La Meute. I don't think they still exist. It's not I don't agree with everything that they say, but it's exaggerated. It was demonized, and it was just there to try to sway a public opinion, to see everybody that was anti-vax, kind of, or mostly pro-choice on the vax, to be like a conspiracy and a whole bunch of conspiracy theorists. And well, they still got power over the word conspiracy theorist. It's still not seen as well. I think it will be. We need to change the name conspiracy theorist to become like what queer, I guess, what they did, or what I'll say the nigger word is now glorified between people of black color. It's kind of strange that we're not allowed to say it if you're not the color. I find that a bit racist, but still, I don't think it's an insult. It should not be used outside of context, unless it was meant to. I mean, everybody sometimes they deserve to have an insult. Probably me too. I'm okay with it. People are allowed to have their opinions, and I'm going to talk also about a movement that's kind of taboo, I guess, to talk these days, which is a entire reversal, and it's the LGBTQ movement. I think it's been co-opted and manipulated since a while ago. It must have started with like love and like just for people to be free to do what they want to. I have actually zero problems with that. I think it's great. I think that people should be allowed to do in their intimacy, in their homes, whatever they wish, whatever makes them happy. I don't see any problem with that. I don't like the idea that people could be prosecuted for doing things that don't hurt anybody else than themselves even. I'm not saying that they do something. Well, everybody can hurt themselves in relationships. I guess it depends. But yeah, I've got no problem with that. I don't think that normalizing is the right thing to do. Like not demonizing and not like... I'm all for acceptance, and I guess like most LGBs are they agree with me. They would just want to live their lives, and they're happy like that. I guess they could. The word pride is misused again, but I can understand that. I would not be prideful personally of my sexual attractions. I don't think it's something that we decide, but I guess to be some part of pride to with like being accepted when before you could be killed, just being that, I kind of understand. But I don't think that most lesbian, gays, and bisexuals really like the T and the Q that much. Don't subscribe with these ideologies. They just want to be themselves and live their lives. They don't want to be out there and claiming underrepresentation when there's like way under 5% of people that are LGBT, and there's like 10-15% on TV that are LGBT. A subject that's kind of close to that. I guess you've heard about the new awards for movies, the Oscars. How could I forget that? Now they want to force wokeism on the productions because they say that if you don't subscribe to enough woke points in your movie, you will not be able to win any Oscars or be, well, not even win, just being... not represented, but I don't know I forgot the name. I think nominated. Yeah, that's it. You will not be nominated if you don't pass the wokeism test, which is crazy. Like most of the best movies that ever would probably not pass the test these days. It's forced, and it's not even true. It's not even true that these people are underrepresented. Yeah. Sorry, having problems with that word. I mean, like any of them. There's like 5% of truly LGBTQ people. There's like 15% on TV. There's like under 15% of Black Americans. Yet on TV, there are like 25-30% of actors that seem to be Black. I mean, the word is just not. It's not the right word to use. To use like minorities is fine, but underrepresentation is not true. You can't be underrepresented if you have a whole month to represent you when you come from sin. I don't know. It's I don't see it, but I was thinking that maybe the LGBTQ had something to do with Satanism, like not directly, but I check on the internet, and there was this article here, and they said it was like a fact check, and they told me I was wrong. Because it's just there is a long-standing homophobic, biphobic, transphobic tactic of inaccurately trying to malign LGBTQ people by comparing people who are LGBTQ with people who worship Satan. So it's debased. It was entirely everything I was thinking about it that just came to mind was actually false. So thank you for this fact checking. However, I want to go to the subject of the word phobic. I think it's not the right word. I mean, it's something to not love and not accept, but nobody's like afraid. Nobody's afraid. Phobic should be something that should be used for words mixed with fear. There's no fear there. There's absolutely not. It's I don't know. I think that's just the word itself is a manipulation. So what was that? Huh. That's on Etsy. Gays for Satan. There's over 1,000 results. Yeah, I found there was like over 30 pages of these types of products. So, is it just jokes? Is it just control opposition to counter the movement? But I mean, I'm not alone seeing that there's something maybe a little gay about Satan. What is that? So, gay for Satan? I could probably find other things that like respect pronouns, everything. Yeah, that's great. Oh, of course. Yeah, that's a good combination here. However, I don't know, even, and says that Target knew that there was a Satanist-inspired merchandise that were being sold, they were going to sell in their stores when they partner with a LGBT brand. So that's strange. So it's like an LGBT brand says that they some of their products, I don't know if all of them, were Satanist inspired. So, well, I guess everybody can get their inspiration. When you hate God, when you hate the world, when you hate, you think you're a nihilist, I guess you might believe that Satan is the one that inspires you to all this love. So here's also the Satanic Temple is in favor of equal rights for LGBT plus. I'm not sure about the plus there. We don't really like all of them. I'm not surprised. I think it's okay. I think they're all about acceptance, and I mean, it can't be that much. It says that it would be conservative to estimate to say that more than 50% of our membership are LGBTQ. So that's like, there's a lot more than 50% of Satanists who identify as LGBTQ. So when that fact checker told me that, I think they were lying. Maybe their research weren't as good as mine. I took about, like, I don't know, 10 minutes of research. Took out a lot of weeding. But anyway, so I'm not the only one that seems to find some kind of correlation. I mean, Pride Demon, Pride Month. Yeah, I guess it's kind of far-fetched, but did they think about it? Nah, like none of the movement they ever thought about it. What is that? Is that a rainbow? Oh, yeah, it is a rainbow. You know when the rainbow was first talked about in the Bible? It was right after the flood. It was a promise from God to say that they would never flood the earth again because we were just too Satanist. So that's why he flooded the earth. Well, I'm not saying that God was that nice to do that, but it was a promise to never do it again. And the reason why he did it, then we're doing it again with a symbol that just like taunting God, which is exactly the contrary here of how light frequencies work. Here we got the red above and the violet to the bottom. It should be completely the other way around. Again, we are dealing with Satanism, probably because everything that is reversed is against God, against nature, against our world, and that's what they like. This symbol was they thought about it before making it. It's really the contrary. Like ultraviolet should be on top, not underneath. So it's also the contrary of the chakra. Goes from about the bottom to above the head, and it's exactly the contrary. So like you are, instead of growing spiritually, you are descending deeper and deeper into animality. So you're denying your humanity and I guess blessing. So I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that the symbol was used for good reasons. I guess people don't like seeing when we mix Nazis with anything that's happening these days. Here we were forced to take the vaccine if we wanted to go just about anywhere. And people, we weren't allowed to go outside. We weren't allowed to have people at home. It was really extreme. I live in Quebec, and it was worse than about anywhere in the United States. It's not China, and it wasn't France, but it was just like really close to that. And people, they were calling the police if you weren't following the rules. And I was thinking back, and I was saying to people, you know what? It must have not that been easy to take a population that's as smart, well-educated, with good values as the Germans, which I respect very much, to make them believe that being a Nazi was a good thing for them. Not saying that it was just an evil movement at the start. I guess there was some problems to get rid of in their country, but even then, we can see that humans are easy to sway and manipulate. And I find it a bit sad that people, they really take it badly when you try to mix anything socially with what how the Nazi movement was created. It's very sad because I think that we need to not repeat history. That doesn't mean we need to be exactly the contrary of what the Nazi were. Like there's good and bad in everything, but it's to shadow ourselves, to hide ourselves of this type of truth, and we are walking in the same steps. It should not be denied. It should be openly discussed. You get them when they're young. These children were, I guess, manipulated by people that were manipulated themselves. Like, they don't know what they're doing, and it's the same. And when you get them young like that, you can really manipulate a whole generation. I think that's why they do it. They are grooming a whole generation to accept, and even worse, to not even, it's not worse. It's to the extreme. I have zero problems with acceptance of every individual and whatever they do alone, but to say that a sin becomes some kind of pride, it's like a double sinning there. It's like and that's why they do it. Pride is not the right word. I think it's great that you're not prosecuted and killed for your sexual preferences that don't leave your home. We should be much more open about that. Well, not much more open. I think most of the population has reached a perfect range of that, like a couple of years ago, kind of like of how racism was defeated shortly before Obama became president, which is kind of weird. I thought that once Obama became president, it was like, I was kind of happy. I didn't like his politics or everything, but I mean, we left George Bush before that. I'm pretty sure George Bush and their plan and the whole party helped 9/11 happen or didn't stop it. So there was no way I was going to be a Republican back then. And I thought Obama has a great way of talking. He's a much better communicator than I am. And even if he's full of lies, full of shit, and his policies were crap, and he started wars, he killed plenty of innocent people, his wife is a man, whatever, that's his choice. I just prefer if they would just be open about it instead of leaving us in the dark, whatever. Or maybe we aren't there yet, maybe we should. I don't know, who cares? I don't care if the president or anyone is homosexual. I voted for an homosexual here in Quebec to be a leader. He was not part of any main party, of course. I never support main parties. I don't believe even in parties overall. I wish he wasn't in one, but that's the way politics works, sadly. I think that it should be only individuals and never parties. It's impossible that there's like 100 people that just agree with everything, and it's very, very anti-democratic. And the last thing I found here, it's a meme that's been running around a bit on the internet. I think it's a bit far-fetched. I don't think they thought of the idea when they created it. Maybe they did. Of course, we can see we can see what's going on pretty well. The rainbow was chosen. The rest, I don't know. I think it's a bit far-fetched, but it's pretty easy to see links with the LGBT movement with Satanism, and Nazism. It's not that hard to link them between, and I think it's very sad because most people in the community don't feel as part of a community. They just feel as individuals like that, and they shouldn't. We shouldn't. They are just making things worse. Every time there's a political movement, there's always eventually a backlash if that movement just goes too far. I'm pretty centrist myself, probably more on the left side for many issues, but I see what's happened with history and with society, and once there's a side that becomes too important, may it be the left or the right, there is a backlash on the other side. And these backlashes create revolutions, and they disturb our way of life. And while I kind of wish there was a good revolution, I think it's just another movement that's being controlled from the inside. When there's a revolution coming, there's people already ready to take the power if ever that movement takes the power. Like it's all planned ahead. Maybe with the internet, there could be something that could be done. There could be an app that could happen, and that would. But I mean, the leaders would need to be like uncontrolled. Is that even possible? Just starting a Facebook page about a subject and not having false moderators come in and like completely ruin your page is hard. I've seen that with the biggest anti-vaccine group. I'm more pro-choice on vaccine. I'm not anti-vaccine. I think people should be allowed to choose what's best for them and their children. They should, however, especially research if the disease is worth it compared to the vaccine. Well, actually, on the other way around, if the vaccine is worth it compared to the disease, I could think about chickenpox right now. Getting the chickenpox vaccine is really a bad idea because you might as well get it when you're young, because you're going to have lifetime immunity. You could have Zona, but you can have Zona even if you never had chickenpox before, or it's just going to be worse. The protection from the vaccine lasts, I think, 7 to 10 years. And after that, if right after the vaccine pretty much is administered, which is, I think you need to get it 2 times because it's like at 5 years old that they start it. And so it lasts 10 years. So like once your second dose is over, most people, adults, they don't really go back to get vaccinated. And if you catch chickenpox in your 20s, it can be a lot more dangerous than if you caught it when you were young. So like, stay away from that one. Don't give that one to your children, and reorganize chickenpox parties like they used to do with measles. Measles is now a quite easy disease to take care of compared to back then. Like before the 40s, measles was a danger, and now it's not only because of vaccination. Vaccination started much later than when we started to pretty much eradicate the disease. As far as not the disease, but eradicate the chances of dying from it. So there's even there's like mumps and rubella and the vaccine. And if I wish you could just take off some of them or take them individually. I think there's one of them of these other diseases that can be dangerous, and I wish there was a way to just get that one and not the MMR. So measles, mumps, and I'm sorry, I forgot. But anyway, I wish they could be given separately, kind of like tetanus, also sometimes as laced influenza. Yeah, don't get that one. Don't. It's not worth it. Keep your vitamins up. Keep your vitamin D up. Gets a lot of sun. If you feel sick, take a lot of vitamin C. Overdose it. There, you won't have any problems. And so yeah, well, that pretty much wraps it up. I hope you liked this video. I also made one in French for people if they want to listen to it. So all right, have a nice day.